other week. So it starts September 12. It's in the evening, and then it'll be the evening of September 13. And then it goes again to start on Saturday during the day and Sunday during the day. So, okay. Now that I got done being distracted with my YouTube because I accidentally ended my live stream, I want to tell you guys about Lovely Singh here was just wondering, how do we know if our challenges in life are karmic? Wow. Yeah, I don't know how you would know that without hearing it from your spirit team to know if a challenge you have is karmic or not. And so that's a good question. I find out the answers to these questions. How do I, if something in your life is going on is karmic, by asking my client's higher self. So that's how I know. But other than that, I don't know how you would know that question unless you were really good at hearing from your higher self. I know the live ended on YouTube and I just actually redid the live. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I accidentally unplugged my camera and then it just ended my live. So I'm sorry. I'm back live on YouTube now. Yeah, so Flora, if you want to join my Dig Deeper class, I have that in October. So that would be awesome to have you join me. That's in October. And then we can get you registered for that. Let me see. What's the significance of an owl visiting my home? Ooh, he visited me twice so far. So that's interesting. When we have animals visit, I see this all the time in my higher self hypnosis sessions, that a lot of times family members or our spirit teams will send us different animals to kind of let them be noticeable to us, so that we can see them and just know that we're not alone. It really is just a message to say, hey, we're here with you. You're not alone. So, okay, let me get into the story that I want to share with you guys. I just had the other day a really cool session where my client had a past life and she was a little surprised because she was a frog. So yeah, that was really interesting. What did I do with my water? Did I not bring my water? Oh my gosh, hold on guys. I think I gotta grab my water here. Did I not have it? Oh, here it is. Okay, sorry. So she was a frog in a past life. And so, yeah, it was really interesting. And I'm going to just read off my notes a little bit what she said about this past life as a frog. Okay. So believe it or not, I've had clients who have been a rock. Their consciousness has been in a rock, trees, what other things? A couple of bumblebees I've seen, honeybees, and I've seen several bears. And one was Bigfoot. Actually, I had two that were Bigfoots. How do you perform body healing sessions with higher self without doing a past life regression? That's an awesome question on TikTok. And that's exactly what we're going to go over in the live tonight. I'm going to show you how my client's higher self did some body healing on her that was a result of mother trauma that she held. So we're going to get into that. So I'll show you guys what that sounds like and what that's like. So we'll talk about psychic surgery. So my client had some psychic surgery, which just is energetic surgery from the spirit realm to heal, whether it's emotional things or physical things. So I just want to tell you, so this client saw a past life where she was a frog. And this is what she said about it without going into all the details of it. She was surprised that she was a frog because I said, oh, look down. Do you see your feet? And she's like, not really. I don't see any feet. So then I said, well, can you tell if you're wearing any clothing? And she goes, I don't think I'm wearing any clothing. She said, this might sound really weird, she said, but I feel like I'm a frog. And so to reassure her, thank you, Roxy, for the roses. Thank you. So to reassure her, I said, you know what? It's okay. You're not the first person who's had a past life as a frog. So just go with it and tell me what you're seeing. So a lot of this really has to do with trust. And with regard to trust, it's trusting what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and not letting your ego mind your conscious mind get in the way and say, oh, that's ridiculous. How could you possibly be a frog? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And really just going with it. So I told her, just trust it. So she did, and she got some really great information about this past life as a frog. But here is some of the highlights I want to share with you guys from her life as a frog. She said, I feel so completely relaxed as a frog, and I can let the water move me. I don't need to control anything. There are bigger forces beyond me that are wiser than me, that can guide me. I'm feeling this peace will help her channel it in her normal day-to-day life to trust the universe and let go, her higher self said. So again, I just thought that was profound to get that kind of wisdom from a life as a frog, right? I feel completely relaxed. I don't need to control anything because that's such a human thing. We try to control everything around us, right? And she said, there are bigger forces beyond me that are wiser than me, that guide me. I'm feeling this peace is going to help her, or help my client, in her normal day-to-day life to trust the universe and let go. Okay. And then I said, as a frog, are you concerned or involved in what's going on with all the other frogs around you or any other animals around you? And she said, no. I said, how come? Are you just focused on yourself? And she said, there's trust in others to do their thing and for me to live my life. So it's not being involved in anyone else's business or any other froggy gossip or anything else that's going on with frogs. Like, oh my gosh, he's jumping the wrong way. Look at him. Oh, poor frog. He's got a broken leg. Nothing. She was not concerned about anything else. The focus was on her. And so I said, she said, I don't feel attached to other frogs. So this is her past life as a frog. She said, I look at the frogs and Roxy. That's cute. She said, I don't feel attached to other frogs. I understand that one day I will be eaten and it's okay. So I thought that was funny. Just to skip to the end of the story, she actually doesn't get eaten. So she gets chased a few times, but she actually never gets caught, never gets eaten. But that's an interesting perspective. She said, frog and gossip, right? She said, I understand that one day I'll get eaten and it's okay. So I said, so there's acceptance with that? And she said, there's total acceptance. Life is a short snippet. It would be wasted otherwise. And then I said, so after you leave your body as a frog and your soul is hovering above the frog body, what kinds of thoughts or observations do you have now that you're out of that body? And she said that maybe there's a lot more wisdom in presence and peacefulness and a lot to learn from wildlife that we do not see. Wow, right? That was cool. And so throughout her session, when her higher self came forward, this again was just the past life part. Throughout the session, when her higher self came forward, several times in her session, her higher self reminded her to just go back to that feeling of being a frog in that total peace. And so to just remember the peace she felt in that past life as a frog. Yeah, Sharon said the frogs are so flowy, right? She actually ended up drying out as a frog. That's how she died in her past life, because apparently the river that she was by, and she actually lived in a jungle and she loved the jungle, but she said that the riverbed that she was on, there was a drought and she dried out. She just laid there and dried out. Her skin dried out. So that's how she died. She actually didn't get eaten. But I just thought that was so cool. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I did this session about, wow, if we really looked at nature and wildlife, there are so many things we could learn from them. Like I never would have guessed learning this about total acceptance from a frog, because there's nothing a frog can do. This is what she said in the session. There's nothing a frog can do. It can't control its environment. It can't control its circumstances. It literally is just there and it just lives. And so it doesn't have the mental capacity to worry, right? It doesn't have it. The only thing it does is it lives in the moment. It doesn't sit there and dwell on the past. And oh my gosh, remember last year when I almost got eaten? That was so traumatic. Like, oh, I'm holding on to this shock and trauma. And right. And it's not worried about the future. Like, oh, am I ever going to find a froggy wife? I don't know. What if I don't? What if I never have any frog babies? You know, it's just total living in the moment and acceptance. And so she said that she doesn't worry as a frog. She doesn't worry about anything because there's nothing she can do about it. You just completely let go and trust Mother Nature. Mother Nature gives, Mother Nature takes away, and it's all okay. It's total acceptance of learning that, right? Yeah, Mermaid Wim said animals are always living in the moment. That's so true and so cool. And I just love that about my husky. I just always, speaking of which, he's chilling under his tree outside. I just walk with him and watch him, and he's so excited, just sniffing all the other animal smells and everything on the ground. And he's just always in the moment. And my team clearly told me that he's in my life for several reasons. One, to just be a source of unconditional love for me, of course. Number two, to get me outside exercising because I have to walk him so much every day because he's a husky, and to get me out in nature. And three, to show me what it's like to live in the moment. So I absolutely love him. He's such an awesome teacher. I'm so thankful for him. Okay, so she saw that life. And then, so on this story is interesting about this client. So she had this past life as a frog, and then she dies and goes into the spirit realm, right? Then are you able to communicate with animals? She asked. I mean, I hear from my husky because we're so connected and attached. Like I pretty much always know what he's thinking, and he is very in tune with me. Same thing with one of my cats, my cat that I've had the longest, but I'm not like an animal communicator or anything like that. But that's not my thing. But anyway, so she died in that life as a frog, and then she went into the spirit realm. And she met with her guides and was told that she had never had a life as a human yet. So that's why when her and I looked at past lives, we didn't see another human life. This life here, her higher self ended up telling her, is her first life as a human. So that's pretty cool. She's one of several clients. I don't get a lot of them, but just one of several that I've had over the years that this is their first life as a human. So that's pretty cool. And boy, did she take on a challenging life this time. But I asked her if her spirit team gave her any advice in coming to Earth as a human. And this is what she said. They said to just bring my heart, and that would pull me through. That would heal others and myself. People like me are important in moments like this because she had so impressed them with her acceptance of nature providing, with nature taking away, that she had such a reverence for beauty, that those qualities would be really valuable for others around her to learn on Earth as a human. So they wanted to bring her to Earth where she could help and bring those qualities with her. So they said, just bring your heart and that will pull you through. That'll help heal you. That will help heal others. Well, so she took the direction that she's here to help others, really to heart in another way, really to heart, because you'll see in a little bit what she did and why she's created so many health problems for herself in this lifetime. We'll get into that. So I asked her next, I said, what happens next? Do you get any say in planning your life as a human, or does your spirit team do all the planning for you? Because I'm thinking, wow, she hasn't had any experience planning a human life before, so she may not even be really involved in planning this human life. And she said, no, I don't understand much of it. So my team is helping to put it all together. I have been told I will be able to help this family. So here, those are the key words I'm going to have you guys remember. She was told that she's going to be able to help this family. And again, she really takes that to heart. So So dynamic energy healing said, so more often, much more often, we've had human lives, not animal lives. Yes, it just depends on the soul and what is relevant for you to learn. So some of us have originated from source or fractaled off from source a lot. Let's just say a long time ago, long time ago, and some are newer souls. And so a lot of them go through lives as animals, insects, trees, bugs, flowers, rocks, all kinds of things I've seen. Insects, I think I said insects. And they usually work their way up, but it's not always. So I have seen clients who have had a human life, and then the very next one they go into, even though time is not linear like we think it is, but the very next life they saw themselves going into was as an animal. So it's not linear in the fact, which some people say it is, but that is not what I have seen at all. Numerous times I've seen people have lives as animals or some other being, or even an alien being, from another planet. So I asked her if she got to choose any of the family or any details, and she said, nope, I've never met them before. So for this life, in this life, she did not get to do any of the planning. Now, I took her down to be in her mother's womb to see what that was like. I don't have time to get into that here. It's going to be part of a book that I'm writing about childbirth. So that'll be part of that book, and maybe I'll make a TikTok and an Instagram on that one. But for now, we're going to skip over that part. So I asked her higher self, because she has a narcissistic mother in this lifetime. And I'm telling you, her mother was really, really, really cruel to her in this lifetime, like very, very cruel. And she thought she's gotten over most of it, but the session surprised her in finding out that she actually holds a lot more trauma than she thought she did from the abuse she suffered from her mother. So the first thing I did was ask her higher self, would it benefit her to have you go back in time, so to speak, to when she was a baby in her mother's womb, and surround her with a bubble or a shield that protects her in her mother's womb from her mother's traumas, her mother's emotions, her mother's ups and downs. And in the womb, she said she could feel her mother's stress. And so I asked if she could be shielded from that. So this is what her higher self said. Yes, I'm weaving a fabric and a very strong, bright light to put around that baby. And as she grows, she will wear this as a sweater, protecting her heart chakra, bringing her light and warmth in the darkness. So anytime I'm doing any kind of mother wound healing, I go back and do a baby in the womb healing, which, going back to what I talked about at the beginning, theta healing, that's something we learn in theta healing, is doing a baby in the womb healing. So you can do this for yourself or anyone who's a blood relative for you. You can do a baby in the womb healing. And the thing you want to do is you want to imagine it, visualize it in order for it to happen. And so there's a spiritual law that says that nothing can happen unless it's witnessed. So you need to witness it, watch it, whatever that looks like for you. Use your imagination. What does it look like to shield yourself, to put that bubble around yourself in your mother's womb, in your daughter's womb, when your daughter's in your womb, or, your sister or your mother, whoever it might be, you're doing a baby in the womb healing for, and you don't need permission to do a baby in the womb healing, just FYI. And do that and just send unconditional love to that baby in the womb. And then if you want, like I said, you can put a bubble around yourself or that baby to protect the baby from traumas and emotions, or even toxins that the mother is ingesting. So let's say the mother is doing drugs or drinking or smoking or anything like that. I add that in there and I ask for it to shield the baby from any of those kind of toxins also. So that's a baby in the womb healing. So you can do that for yourself. And again, any blood relative. That is what I teach as a teacher of theta healing. And again, to learn more about theta healing, go to my website, guys, and you can join the first night for free on September 12th. It is so powerful. It is such a powerful healing modality. But then, because her mother is so cruel to her. A question I like to ask whenever I'm dealing with a narcissist is this person fully human? Meaning, do they have a human soul, or are they maybe not so human? Are they maybe something non-human that's in a shell of a body? And it says here, the mother's not possessed. She's not a demon. She's just a soul that has lost her way and has no light of her own, no purpose. And she's a little bit stressed because she has no purpose. And I said, is it because of her upbringing from her mother or her father? So her father was a narcissist, bad. I mean, I guess he really, really was abusive, physically, emotionally, verbally, mentally, like just very abusive to her. And so the answer was yes. Her father broke her from an early age. So then I said about my client, did this client's spirit team arrange who her mother would be, who my client's mother would be, or did someone else pair them up? And the answer was no, her team decided to pair her up with this mother that she has in this lifetime. And I said, did they know that this woman was going to have a broken soul and that she was going to be so abusive? And the answer was yes. And I said, well, then why did they want her to experience that? Okay. Yeah, the client's grandfather was very abusive. Yes, Roxy. So very abusive to his daughter, which is my client's mother, right? Okay. So it was just like a generational thing. So I said, well, why did they want my client to experience having a mother who was so abusive with a broken soul? And her higher self said, this was part of the challenge we gave her. And she has risen to the occasion beautifully and has blossomed in a desert, like with no water, just like that frog that she was in the past life. And she's still alive, and not just alive. She is beaming and glowing and bringing light to others, This has been her biggest accomplishment in life so far. So, wow, here we go from this person who's never had a life as a human. This is her first life as a human. She had that amazing life as a frog in the previous one, where she learned about acceptance and just kind of accepting everything as it came and not resisting anything. And this was a challenge they gave her, and she's risen to the occasion beautifully. So then I wanted to know, are there any energetic cords connecting her to her mother? So we have cords connecting us to people, places, things. If you're from another country, you probably have energetic cords connecting you to your home country or your home state. You have energetic cords connecting you to your children, which is fine as long as they are minors. It's fine. You have energetic cords connecting you if you're married and you're sleeping with someone. You definitely have energetic cords connected to that person or those people. And so I wanted to know if she had any energetic cords connected to her mom. She kind of keeps her distance. Her mom lives in a different country now. My client's mom does, but she gives her about 2 hours a week on a Zoom call to spend time with her mom and tolerate her mom as much as she can. She said her mom's a little better being at a distance now, but I still felt, I could tell, because I'm in touch with my higher self when I do these sessions, I could kind of feel that there were some energetic cords between the two. So I wanted to ask, because as an adult, with our parents, with other adults, our siblings, whoever it might be, we don't need to have energetic cords, because think of like an umbilical cord. It feeds energy 2 ways. It's back and forth. And we just literally don't need it unless there's a special circumstance. Okay. I'll just tell you that. It's one in a 1,000 I've seen special circumstances where the higher self is like, nope, we need to leave that cord in place. So usually though, it's let's get rid of those cords. So I literally just wanted to get it still connected, even if we don't think or feel connected to them. Let me see what that was about. Not sure what you mean still connected, even if we don't think or feel connected to them. You can have energetic cords. I'll just answer this way. You can have energetic cords connected to a lot of different people, and you may not know that you still have cords attached to them. So it's always a good thing to cut cords. But in this instance, this is what we did. Let me tell you what we did. So I said, Are there any energetic cords? And her higher self said, oh, there are many cords connecting her to her mom. And I wanted to know who attached those cords. Was it my client or was it my client's mother? And her higher self said, I think both of them did, but most of them were connected by her mom. I said, why has mom attached so many cords to my client? And the answer was because her mom is lost and doesn't have a light of her own. Okay. So a lot of these narcissists, I don't have to tell you guys, anyone who's been involved with a narcissist, you are a battery. You are an energy source for narcissists because they just don't have light of their own. And so they have to get other people that they are attached to emotionally charged. And that's how they energetically feed off of you. And so it's interesting. So I said, so is my client an energy source for her mother? And the answer was yes. So I said, what would happen to her mother if we get those cords cut today? Would that be beneficial for my client? Yes. I said, would it be beneficial for the mother? No. Of course, mom wants those cords and that energy, right? The mom. Okay, so Jules Gonzalez said, I bet her mom blamed her for all of the bad or wrong that went on in the mom's life. Absolutely, her mother did all the time. Yes. So I said, is my client ready to allow you to remove those cords connecting her to her mother? And if yes, are you able to remove those cords and instead remove them from my client and instead take those cords and attach them from the mother, unattach them from my client, and attach them to the creator of all that is, so that the mom can now get her energy from the creator of all that is instead of from my client. Okay. So her higher self said, yes, it's a beautiful idea. And the mother would love that. They look like veins or tubes, and I can slice through them quite easily. I'm cutting through them and it's a mess because there's a lot of them. I'm taking big gardening shears to get through the thousands of tubes. And then there was a pause, and her higher self said, I'm pretty much done with them. And then we're throwing a vital cord tied to her mother's heart to be held up in the light and float to be connected to the creator. Creator's light is now floating into your client's mom. My client's energy has now stopped leaching. All right. So that was beautiful, right? I said, so is it likely her mother will try to reattach cords to my client? And the answer was, she has what she needs now, but she is likely to try again. She is greedy. So I said, is there anything you can do now to shield my client so that anytime her mother tries to attach cords to her, the cords bounce off and instead shoot straight up to the creator of all that is, and they're not allowed to attach to my client? And the answer was yes. So I said, can you do that now and tell us what that looks like as you do it? And her higher self said, I will create an armor bubble with a mirror-like substance that will reflect all future cords up to the creator and away from your client. And it's done. And I said, is my client's mother her responsibility, my client's responsibility? Is her life, her journey, how it ends, is that my client's responsibility? And her higher self said, no, it's not your client's responsibility. And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. I said, well, my client said she worries about her mom getting older and maybe ending up alone because the father has health issues. And my client feels like she may have to take care of her mother and that her mother will likely expect that. What do you have to say about that? Her higher self said, oh, the mother will, and there will be no one else to take care of her. Her brother certainly won't bite because the brother has completely cut the mother off. But this will be an important learning for your client to set boundaries. Wow. And I said, so would it be in my client's best and highest good to bring her mother to live with her when she gets older and when she doesn't have anyone else? And the higher self said, no, that's not in her best interest. She would regress into childhood pain, and her children would be at risk the way she would be when she was small. She needs to protect her children. Wow. Isn't that awesome? So dynamic energy healing asks, do the higher selves communicate with you in words or telepathy? This is my client channeling their higher self in a meditative state. You call it hypnotic state, meditative state, but these words are coming out of my clients' mouths. And you guys can actually see higher self hypnosis sessions that I've done with clients on video. They've given me permission and they're posted on my YouTube channel and my Patreon channel. So if you like sessions and you really like them because they're so interesting, you want to join my Patreon channel. It's like $22 a month. But my YouTube has about 11 sessions out there, and you can actually see the sessions for yourself to see what it's like. Hi, Maggie. I see you joined. Okay, so then Descendant of the Light, my narc mom just moved in with me and I'm not doing well now. Descendant of the Light, you didn't learn boundaries, huh? Yeah. Narcissists come into our lives. They are teachers, just like everyone else in our lives. And the narcissists teach our lesson is supposed to be to learn how to set boundaries because they are master manipulators. They use you, they suck your energy, and they will guilt you and make you feel like you're just abandoning them and guilt you into doing things that you don't want to do that you'd normally not have a problem setting a boundary with, but you feel this obligation, especially when they're a parent. And so it's hard to say, it can be hard to say no, but that's exactly what my client's higher self was telling her. No, your mom is not to live with you. Your mom, that's a boundary. That's a lesson for you to learn boundaries. So the lessons for people with narcissists in their lives normally are having healthy boundaries and not being a people pleaser. Those are the two primary lessons. And self-love, right? Self-love for yourself, loving yourself more than you are involved in what's going on in that person's life. Because you guys have all heard the saying, they made their bed, they have to lay in it. And that is true, whether it's a parent or not. Our parents, contrary to many cultures, are not our responsibility. If they are toxic, this is my view. Toxic is toxic. It doesn't matter if it's a parent, a spouse, a child, a friend, a coworker. It doesn't matter. Toxic is toxic. And if you don't have boundaries to protect yourself, it's going to affect you. You are the only one that can set a boundary for yourself. And you don't have to give any reason or explanation to anyone else. I heard a saying from a higher self once. It said, no is a complete sentence. And it is. No is a complete sentence. And it might feel hard emotionally, especially because they guilt you and they manipulate you as a narcissist, but toxic is toxic. It does not matter who they are. Like I know people who have narcissistic children. I mean, all narcissists are someone's children, right? They all have parents. And it doesn't matter if it's a child. Toxic is toxic. And the best thing you can do, you can't feed a narcissist because the only thing they eat is your energy. And so the only thing you can really do, and I have a class on manipulation, guilt, and narcissism on my website, wokelightworker.com, if you guys want to check it out. I have information in there that's not shared with normal mainstream teachers that I've learned about narcissists and how many of them are actually soulless beings. Not all of them, but probably about 65% that I've come across are soulless beings. Thank you for the roses, Joey. Thank you so much. Let me see what some people are saying on their comments here. Rosalina on YouTube. This is so amazing. Thank you. Oh, I did not have a good relationship with my mom, said Ipo Pintor. Yeah, we're going to talk more about mom healing. So just hold tight with me. I set too many boundaries after my daughter's dad even had my daughter do the same with him. Yeah, that's good. My dad just died and I'm all my mom's got left. Guilt is huge. Exactly. And that's how Descendant of the Light on TikTok, that's how they get you, because they literally burn all their other bridges and chase everyone else out of their lives. And then you're the only one that they've got left. And you feel obligated because you don't want to just abandon this person. But that's a call you have to make. And it's one that I have, other than one instance in one session that I've ever seen someone's higher self say, yeah, keep your mom with you, because if you don't, she will actually literally die. And my client wouldn't be able to handle the fact knowing that the mom died because she didn't help the mom, because she was the mom's energy source. So it's all about boundaries, guys. Again, if you have a narcissist in your life or an abusive parent, it's all about boundaries. They are your teacher to learn boundaries and to not play with toxic. I mean, if you play with toxic, it's just like if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. If you play with toxic, you're going to get splattered all over the place. You're going to have chemicals all over you, so to speak. My dog helps me set boundaries. That's one of his teachings. I love that. I've had times where I've had to put boundaries and no contact for quite a few years because of trauma, said Mandy. Exactly. Like I actually cut off contact with my mother for 20 years. Then I let her back in my life because she promised she had changed. She was a different person. So I let her in and she was okay for about 4 years. She started crossing boundaries a little bit more toward the end. And I had to sit her down and tell her she was no longer in the parent role and that she was not allowed to parent my children and tell me how I should parent my children, that she could be grandma, but that was it. That was her role. I had to set the boundary with her. And then she decided to start drinking in front of me, which was one of my other boundaries. You can't drink in front of me or my children. You can be an alcoholic all you want, but you're not drinking in front of me or my children. And she decided to not obey that one time when we were at a family event, and that was it. I said, you're done. You keep breaking boundaries. I have no space for you in my life. And I don't have any ill feelings toward my mom whatsoever. I have searched my heart so many times for anger or bitterness or resentment, and it's just not there. It's just not there. I've learned how to deal with it, again, using theta healing techniques and tactics, that method that I teach. And I just don't have it. And so I think about and I'm grateful for all the wonderful things she did for me over my life. And I don't really think about a lot of the bad stuff anymore as much because I'm just so grateful for all of the good things that she did. So there's a lot of love in my heart for her. And I can have that love in my heart without needing to have her in my life, because toxic is toxic. And I don't invite toxic people to sit at my table. And so I've just got really strong boundaries now. It wasn't always like that, but I've got really strong boundaries now. So let's see what else we say. Let me see. It's true. It's so hard to let go. Narcissistic ex, right? Boy, I've learned that. I get a charge from my boundaries. Let me see. Appreciate your posts. Let me see. It's interesting about the soulless beings, right? Super interesting. Oh my gosh, it really is. Let's see what else you guys are saying. My whole life has been one narc right after another. Descendant of the light. Girl, you are just getting lots of teachers brought into your life. That's awesome, right? Love the lesson, forgive the teacher. You just keep attracting the teachers until you learn the lesson. I just now isolate and I'm completely drained. And that's exactly what they do. Narcissists just are there to drain your energy. And hopefully you get so tired of it that you actually establish your boundaries, kick all those people out of your lives. And what happens to them is not your responsibility. Right? It really, really, really isn't, you guys. It really isn't. But there's a lot of other things you need to do in the meantime, like cutting cords, like we just did. We just talked about is cutting cords. And again, you can ask your higher self to cut those cords. You can imagine if you want to visualize this, imagine it, just like maybe even like a giant pair of scissors, cutting those cords or something, popping out the tubes from you and removing them. And then watching your higher self go connect the end of those cords from your mother or your narcissistic ex or whoever it might be. Watch your higher self connect those to the creator of all that is. And then you want to shield yourself with like a mirror-like substance, right? Like a shield of mirrors, so that anytime that person tries to reattach an energetic cord to you, it just reflects right off or bounces right off. And then set the intention that it's just going to bounce right up to the creator of all that is, so that it can be connected up there. So you can do that too. Can you tell if they're soulless? Usually the ones who are, I can usually tell in a session, I don't know that anyone else can, when my client goes into their life story and tells me all about this other person and how they've impacted them and the kinds of things they did, I can usually guess pretty well that they're a soulless being or they're probably just a broken soul. But the average person, it just really depends. Sometimes you can just feel it energetically that they're not human, that they're really, really evil. And so, yeah, sometimes. The very first person I met after kicking husband out was another narcissist friend, right? Yep, you attracted another teacher. It's also helpful to imagine sitting at a table with them and writing up your contracts and agreements. Yep. There are people without souls. Yes, there are people without souls. They're just using the skin suit. So I've had a lot of sessions covering that topic, and I haven't shared that. And I can't really go into it too much here because this is also going on YouTube. And YouTube will take the channel down, or they'll take the video down and give me a community violation. But they're normally reptilians that come into a skin suit. So, yeah, ripping up contracts. Okay, so with this client, we had her higher self remove the energetic cords. Do you offer physical body healing sessions with higher self without any past life regression? Yeah, we can do just higher self, but I will tell you the reason that I think it's a good idea to do past life regression first and then go into the higher self portion. Is it because it helps relax you more, and it helps your higher self in my sessions always shows you a past life that's relevant to your current life. And so it's relevant for a reason. There's a leftover lesson. There's maybe some karma. There's maybe some relationship with another soul that started a long time ago that you're still dealing with today. It's in some way relevant, or there's some kind of message your higher self wants to give you. And so that's why I always start with a past life regression and then go into the higher self, talking to the higher self. And then a lot of times in my sessions, the higher self goes back and references that past life on why it's relevant and how it impacts their current life. So it's actually really important, and that's why I do it. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so the next question, after we cut the energetic cords with my client and her narcissistic mother, the next question I asked her higher self was, are there any soul fragments that my client's mother is holding from my client? So this would be anytime there's a traumatic event, little fractals of our soul, little pieces of our soul can like fractal off. So, you know, when you've had a really traumatic event and you think about it now, you're not in that traumatic event now, but you think about it and it's like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm right there again. I can totally remember everything. I can remember there was a smell in the air. I can remember exactly what everything looked like. That moment's like frozen, right? It's like a frozen memory, and a little piece of your soul kind of fractaled off and got frozen there. And so that's what I mean by soul fragments. And someone else can grab onto fragments of your soul, and it's almost like they keep them captive and they're holding on to them. And so this was something I didn't even know what soul fragment retrieval was. But this was years ago. I was walking my dog and I just had this memory of my stepmother. And I was 14 years old, and my stepmother was abusive to me. She was a low-key narcissist, not a full-blown narcissist, but she was very purposeful in her mean actions to me. And she didn't like me because I was there before her. She was the stepmom, right? I was there before her, and she didn't like it that they had to pay child support for me and my sister, and she just didn't like that kind of stuff. And then I took time away from her kids and her family when I visited. And so she was quite mean when I would go visit. And I just remember when I was 14 and I decided to live with them for 1 year, my freshman year in high school. And I was lying in bed one night and she came and checked in my room. Thank you, Booger Butt. That's cute. Checked on me and I pretended to be sleeping. And then that was the days before cell phones and cordless phones. So she picked up the phone right outside my bedroom door and got on the phone and started talking to someone. I don't know who it was. I suspect it was one of my aunts. And I don't even know how long she was on the phone, but she just sat there and said every nasty, mean, cruel, malicious thing about me that she could possibly say about a 14-year-old girl. And everything that a 14-year-old thinks about themselves, the worst about themselves, we all hate ourselves when we're that age and we're going through puberty and all that stuff. And she said it all. And she was very malicious and mean about it. And I just remember lying in my bed, curled up in the fetal position, and I was just bawling as quiet as I could because I didn't want her to hear me. Because then I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be mad at me because I pretended I was sleeping. So I just laid there and I just was bawling and bawling and bawling and bawling. And it hurt so bad. And I had to go walk out of the bedroom the next morning and pretend like nothing happened and pretend that I wasn't hurt because I didn't want her to know that I was awake and that I had heard these things. And yeah, right. Memories, nothing's all your fears. Yeah, right. All my fears, all my awful beliefs. I mean, just talking trash about my mom and saying how I was like my mom and I was trash like my mom and just all this stuff, right? Who is they? Yeah, it was really traumatizing. So I would go back, even all through college, I would be sitting there and that memory would well up in me and I would just start bawling. Like I would just bawl because I was right back at that moment. I was curled up in my bed in the fetal position, just bawling my eyes out. And I was walking my dog one day, and this was, when I was in my late 40s, so years later, I've been carrying around this pain since I was 14, right? And every time it bubbled up, I'd be bawling right back at that instance. And I was walking my dog and I said to my spirit team, I'm like, what do I have to do to get rid of that pain? Like, I can't handle this pain anymore. Like, it's always coming up and it hurts so bad. Like, what do I have to do? And my spirit team said to me really clearly in my mind, they said, she's holding pieces of your soul. And I was like, what? What does that mean? She's holding pieces of my soul. And then they showed me, it was like this whole image came in my mind. I could see it. It was really beautiful. It was like two cliffs, like jagged cliffs, just a little bit apart from each other. And there was like this big chasm or this big, valley in between them. And I'll tell you what a spirit team is in just a little bit, Booger Butt, okay? I love your screen name, by the way, Booger Butt. Okay, so it's my spirit guides, my higher self, my angels, all of that, my spirit team, right? So I saw these two cliffs, jagged cliffs, and I was on one and she was on another. And there was this big, valley in the middle, but there was all this like white, sparkly light, and just countless angels, like flying in this white, sparkly light in between us. And then I saw all of these pieces of they were soul fragments. I just knew what they were, pieces of my soul that she was holding. And I saw them being pulled from her and going through that sparkly white light and just being washed in all this like sparkly white light. And then they were brought back to me. And then I saw even ones from me that were being pulled from me and being brought back to her. And they were all being like cleansed and cleared in this sparkly white light. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Like, that was so cool. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Like, that's so cool. And so years later in teaching, thank you, Yvette, for the rose. And years later in teaching theta healing, that's why I keep talking about theta healing, you guys. I have those classes coming up in September because I'm telling you, it's incredible in terms of mental, emotional, physical healing. But years later, I learned in theta healing that it's called soul fragment retrieval. And I was like, what? That's so cool. Like, my spirit team taught me that years ago because what they showed me was because she was holding little fractals or fragments of my soul, Yeah, the classes, I have the classes listed on my website, wokelightworker.com. Descendant of Light. Go to my website and look. I'm offering the first night on September 12th for free. So just reach out to me and I can get you the information if you want to go to the first night for free. There's also a webinar on my website. It's a recorded webinar for 30 minutes long, telling you what theta healing is and how it will literally change your life. Like nothing changed my life like theta healing, like for real, and help me heal. But yeah, so my higher self showed, my spirit team showed me that because she was holding these little fragments of my soul, that it's almost like if you have a sore and it has a scab, and it's like someone comes and they pick the scab off and then they like dig their hand in the sore and they can make it really hurt again, that's what my stepmom was doing. So when I would feel like those, why is it saying it's gonna, golly gee, hold on. TikTok made me verify I was still there. Sorry, guys. So it's my higher self, my spirit team showed me that every time like those memories would pop up in my mind, that she was actually having a negative thought about me. And it was just like she was taking that soul fragment of mine and scratching a scab and sticking her finger in it and thinking like a really pointed negative thought about me. And so it was like we were connected via that soul fragment that she was holding of mine. But I'm telling you guys, after that exercise I did, where my higher self walked me through exchanging soul fragments, like that pain disappeared. It was so crazy. It disappeared. And I was just like, whoa, that was so cool. I never expected that. So you can actually ask for your soul fragments across all time, all space, all dimensions, all realities to be returned to you, and ask for them to be returned from everyone, no matter who, mom, dad, doesn't matter, from everyone. But first ask for them to be cleansed and cleared in the Creator's love and light, and then return to you to be made whole, to be cleansed and cleared. And again, like I said earlier, you want to make sure that you are witnessing this. So see it just like I did, that image of, whatever it looks like for you. It doesn't have to look like mine, where you have the two jagged cliffs and there's like a chasm in between and you have all that white sparkly light. It can look totally different. But just imagine what that looks like for you, because again, the spiritual law that says everything has to be witnessed in order for it to happen. So will you ever offer the classes over the course of a week instead of 4 weekends, Terry? If I had enough people to do it over the course of a week, it would actually be 2 weeks, because it's 10 days. It's 10 days worth of classes. I absolutely would, but I haven't been able to find people who could actually do it and take 10 days off of work. So that's why I do them on the weekends. I do them 2 evenings and then on a Saturday and Sunday. But anyway, so we did the soul fragment retrieval. And then I asked, is she holding any soul fragments of her mother? And the answer was yes. So then we did the same thing. I asked for her higher self to go gather her soul fragments from any soul fragments she was holding of her mom, for Creator to clear those up, cleanse them and clear them, and then return them back to the mom. Okay. Now, if the person has passed, let's say her mom was dead and she still had soul fragments she was holding of her mom, we would ask that those soul fragments be returned to her mom's oversoul, right? So it's kind of like the soul of the soul, right? The oversoul, rather than give them to the mom, because the mom's not here on earth anymore. So thank you, dynamic energy healing, for the rose. Thank you. So, I wrote this. I said this. I asked her higher self this. My client has a belief that if she cuts off contact from her mother, then her mother cannot heal. What do you have to say about this? Her higher self said that's not true. Guys, everybody grab this for themselves, right? Each soul is responsible for their own healing. Each soul is responsible for their own healing. She, my client, is taking on too much. Okay. how do the soul fragments get separated from the self? Did we already cover this? Yeah, we covered it, Kelly. That's okay. But the soul fragments, every time you have a traumatic event, or like, let's say you have a child in the hospital, and you know how a parent is like, oh my gosh, I would do anything. I'll trade places with my kid. I will do anything to help my child. And so what they do is they actually will give fragments of their soul to their child or their husband or their parent in an attempt to help them. Or if they see a really awful accident, they can be shocked. It can be shock and trauma, and a piece of their soul can fractal off and fragment off and be out there to be grabbed by whoever, because they were just so shocked by an event. So that's why I said you want to call in your soul fragments from all time, space, dimensions, and realities from anyone who's holding them. And then you want to ask that they be cleansed and cleared and brought back to you so you can be more whole and more complete. Okay? So intentionally, let me see. I don't know what you mean by intentionally. People can intentionally take fragments of your soul, sometimes unintentionally, right? Sometimes we unintentionally give them away. So my client had that belief that her mom couldn't heal unless she helped her mom, but her higher self again said each soul is responsible for their own healing. You cannot help anyone else heal. Like I can be a guide, like I teach my theta healing classes, I can be a guide, but I can't help anyone else heal. Like you have to do the work on your own. You have to be the one to work with your team. So I said, why does my client have that belief then? Where did she pick that up? And she said, her higher self said, we sent her to earth to make things better, and she took it to heart. She believes she is meant to make everything and everyone better, but she is not. She may not be a frog anymore, like in that previous life, but humans are limited as well, right? So when we feel like we're here to help everybody and save everybody, that's a savior complex. That is, that's a big no-no. You definitely don't want to have that. It will drain you. It will affect your health. You got to figure out a way to get over that. That's a big one that I see in a lot of my sessions. Hypopintor. I don't have a good relationship with my mom. My mom apologized before passing. That's awesome. Me and my mama is fussing right now. I hung up on her. Oops. There may be some, Kayla, there may be some energetic cords between you and mom, and just lots of lessons there. If you're arguing, there's definitely lessons in there. So I said, so can you give my client some clarity on what things she should do to make Earth better, and then things that are beyond what she is called to do? And her higher self said she needs to focus her core life energy on just bringing light, love, and happiness to her own heart. Just by doing that, she will bring love, light, and warmth to the world around her, not the other way around. So it's not giving the love, light, and warmth to the world and putting yourself back last. It's giving it to yourself first. And then you are a light. You are a beacon to the rest of the planet, the world. Kelly said, ugh, being a human is so exhausting. Like for real, right? It's for real. Let me see. Your story is such an inspiration for all of us on how to overcome trauma and challenges. Oh, thank you. I have a lot more trauma than that. That stepmom thing, that's just one of them. But I've heard a lot worse stories than mine too, guys. So really, mine's nothing compared to some of these stories I hear. Oh my gosh, especially the one I heard yesterday. I don't know if I could have been as strong as this girl yesterday and survived what she survived. It's pretty, I hear some pretty heavy stuff, So let me go on a little bit. Oh, I said, what is she doing now that drains her life force energy? Guys, you're the only one that can protect your life force energy. No one else is going to protect your life force energy. You protect your life force energy by resting, by giving yourself time to yourself, by getting in nature, by doing things that bring you joy and show yourself love. Okay. But what is she doing now to drain her life force energy? And her higher self said pretty much everything she's doing is draining her life force energy. She's trying to save her own life, her dog's life, her dad's life, her parents' financial problems, the company she works for, her marital problems. She has put the weight of the entire world on her own shoulders, and she tries every morning to do it all. And when she fails, she inevitably crumbles under the weight, and that hurts her. The arthritis pain on her shoulders is because of the weight she puts on them. There you go. First example of what we're doing in our own lives to create ourselves physical issues, right? The weight she puts on herself is resulting in arthritis pain in her shoulders. Okay. And let me go on because I want to go on to some more mom issues really, really quick here. Let me see. Oh, do any of her current health challenges, guys, she gave me a list about this long, typed about this long of all her health issues, and they were just bullet pointed. And it was a really long list of the health issues that she has, my client. And so I went through each health issue one by one and said, what's going on? Where's this coming from? Some of them were mom issues. Some of them were dad issues. Some of them were because she's trying to save the world. They were all from different areas. One was from her grandma. She took on stuff from her grandma. Like she was really just trying to save everyone. She took it literal when her spirit team told her, oh, you're going down to earth to help others. Like she really, really took it literally. Okay. So, Macro Mystic, you shouldn't minimize your own trauma. It is a valid experience. Thank you, dear. You're wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. You're right. Okay, so I asked, do any of my clients' current health challenges stem from her relationship with her mother? And if yes, which ones are specifically a result of her relationship with her mother or how she reacted to the way her mom treated her? And her higher self said, yes, many of her health issues stem from her mother issues, her gut issues, her veins, her circulatory problems, her low energy, because a lot of it is cycling to her mom. Remember, we did that cord cutting because mom was siphoning her energy. And I said, what about, so the female issues are a result of mom issues? And her higher self said, yes, they share those. And I said, what do you mean they share those? And her higher self said, her mom also went through the same issues. Wow, imagine that, a way to relate to mom, right? To try to help mom, because mom was going through these female organ issues when she was growing up. And so she decided to just pour herself into this and try to take on some of this on an unconscious level, right? From her mother, to help her mother. I said, so did my client decide to take on some of this in order to help her mom? The answer was yes. Her first experience of someone in the family being in a hospital was her mom having an ovary removed from a cyst. She saw her mom receiving horrible injections for endometriosis that affected her mood. She would get violent, and a lot of her mom's problems stem from reproductive issues, and those stem from her body issues. She is obese and diabetic, and she was bullied a lot for her figure. The mom was. She has self-esteem issues with her own femininity, and your client tried to help her. She tried to save her mom. When your client was a child, she saw her mother's darkness and decided that it was her job to protect her mother from going to hell, because she thought, because of all the darkness she saw, that her mother would inevitably go to hell. So she has tried to help her and steer her in the right direction and take what she can to help her mom. This is one of the things she took from her mom. Well, guess what? My client has really bad endometriosis. There we go, right? Wondering, why do I have endometriosis? But when you do this and you look at it, it's like really clear. The higher self was like, it's right there. So I said, what does my client's soul want her to do? The answer was she needs to let go of all the things she's holding for everybody else. She needs to float like a frog, just like she was a frog in that past life, and enjoy the world around her. And she needs to enjoy the world around her. And to do this before she even considers becoming a mother herself. because that is only adding one more person's life and destiny onto her shoulders. She should not become a mother until she learns to do this. And this is why she will only birth one child, because this healing is going to take her some time. Wow, right? So I said, how does she let all this go? All this mom stuff that she's taken on to help her mom, how does she let it go? Her higher self said the cord cutting helped. The future cord protection helped. Remember, after she cut the cords with her mom, her higher self put a shield around her that was mirror-like on the outside, so that if her mom tried to attach any more cords, they would just bounce up to Creator's light. For the most part, she's out of that realm, but the disease remains. So listen to this. I said, so what can you do now to strip away all the leftover baggage, so to speak, from trying to help her mother with her taking on those different health issues in an attempt to help her mom? Her higher self said, we can try to remove and clear out her reproductive system. We're going to remove a cyst and the fibroids and reestablish blood flow. We're lighting up each one of the cysts and we're popping them. They are made of blood, so they will be reabsorbed into the body naturally. We are removing the fibroids. They are like almonds that are stuck to the side of the uterine wall. We remove those carefully and shine a bright light close to the womb. We create a warm flow of blood that goes through all of her reproductive organs, that brings oxygen and nutrients to heal and restore her reproductive organs. And then we seal all of it with love and light, and then it's done. Wow, right? Pretty cool. So that was the mom stuff. Now she has a bunch of gastric issues. Those were, father issues, a result of parasites. Wow. Look at my one of my most recent TikToks that tells you, it's a TikTok and it's on YouTube, about how to remove parasites. So she has a lot of health issues in her gut as a result of parasites. So her higher self got rid of all the parasites that are in her. And then she had circulatory issues, all kinds, like cold hands and feet, varicose veins, her heart skipping beats. And that is because she took all of those things on. Her grandmother had the same issues and she wanted to help grandma. So she took those issues on and then wonders why she had those issues, right? So you can see she mistook her direction to come here and help others by literally trying to take on their stuff. And again, the message is that's not our role. We're not here to walk anyone else's journey for them. We are not here to take on their pain, their lessons, their trauma. You can actually create karma for yourself when you interfere in someone else's journey and try to take on their stuff. You can actually create karma. It's not our job. Every soul has their own journey that they're here to walk through, and it may look difficult from your perspective, but it's the lessons that their soul team, their spirit team planned for them. Because how can they overcome them if you're in going, oh, let me save you? You're not even giving them a chance to try to figure it out and work out their own issues. And they may get it in this lifetime, they may not. They may have to carry it to another one or another one or another one, and that's okay, right? But when we're interfering, it's causing her, like you saw in this one, my client, all kinds of health issues, mental, she's exhausted, emotional, physical health issues by trying to help and take on everyone else's stuff. Really, it's a mind your own business thing, right? With regard to journey, mind your own journey, mind your own business. It's not you're not the savior, right? Get rid of the savior mentality, the savior complex. Doesn't matter if ex-husband's going to end up homeless on the street. He should have thought of that before being abusive to you. Not your problem. NMP, not my problem. That's something my spirit team told me a long time ago when I went through an issue with someone who used to be a friend of mine who tried to dump her problems on me. And I thought I'd help her and save her. And she ended up taking advantage of me. And my spirit team was like, did you like that lesson? NMP. That's what you need to follow now, Tracy. Not my problem. Your problems are not my problems. Your issues are not my issues. Your journey is your journey. It's not my journey. It's not my journey to fix. It's not my journey to save. It's not my journey to walk through. It's your journey. Can you be there and hold someone's hand and help them? Yes, but you don't fix their journey for them. You don't save them from their lessons, because then you're just postponing their lessons, because if they're lessons for them, they're lessons for them. Excuse me, you're just delaying the inevitable, because they will have to learn those lessons. So, ooh, I just got on a rampage there, didn't I? So memories on nothing. Wow, literally happened to me. She said, girl, the parasite thing, I tried the white light cleansing, and not to be too much TMI, but oh gosh. Okay, yeah. So yeah, go watch my social media video on healing yourself of parasites. That's a good one. Let me see if I have anything else that I marked on here. Toward the end of the session, I asked her, higher self, wow, that was a lot of healing you just gave her. And I'm just wondering if there's anything she could do in her life right now to undo any of the healing you just gave her. And if yes, what does she need to watch out for so she doesn't undo any of it? Her higher self said she can definitely make herself sick again. It's a slippery slope. She needs to manage her stress. She needs to put on her own mask before she even thinks about having a child or putting a mask on anyone else's life. And her higher self meant in the airplane, you always put your own mask on first. You take care of yourself first. You make sure you're good first. She needs to focus on joy and rest and use her beautiful imagination to write songs, play guitar, and have a little bit of ceremony in her days. Take her coffee outside. They're small things, but important things. But if she ignores it, her body will continue to decay. So you have to focus on yourself. You have to focus on loving yourself. You have to focus on what brings you joy, because that is the way you save others, guys. Really, literally it is. It's focusing on yourself and what brings you joy. And yeah, we have work we have to do. We have bills we have to pay, like all of those things. But what a higher self said in a session the other day is it's not optional. It's not an option. You absolutely have to do something every single day for yourself. You have to make yourself a priority in your day, and you can't just skip yourself every single day or even one day. You have to make it a priority every single day. So I hope this helps. And she received a lot of other psychic surgery in this session. Lots of trauma was pulled from her body. It was sticky and gooey, and her higher self pulled it out and sent it to Creator's Light and did a lot of other psychic surgery that I don't have time to go into. I actually have to jump onto a consultation call that was scheduled. So if anyone's interested in doing higher self hypnosis or just learning more about it, I offer free 15-minute phone consultations. So you can go on my website, wokelightworker.com, pick a time in my calendar. We can chat for 15 minutes and just see if it's a good fit. It's specifically to find out if it might be a good fit for you, because I will tell you if it's not. If I don't think it's a good fit, I'm not about just taking your money and not having it work. It has to be a good fit for you. And my theta healing classes, guys, again, if you are looking for emotional, mental, physical healing and how do I heal myself, like this is the absolute key and ticket to that I start teaching, because it just literally changed my life like nothing ever has. And in 10 days worth of class, I received what I know would have probably taken me about 2 years to heal on my own. We do a ton of work in class healing stuff, resentments, guilt, feelings of anger and betrayal and fears. We cover a lot of fears. We do a ton of healing in class with partners. And when we do that, like I said, I walked out going, oh my gosh, I literally feel like that would have taken me about 2 years on my own to do. But not only that, but then I walked out with the skills on how to continue to do this type of deep healing from this life, healing from trauma I'm carrying for other lives on an ancestral level. Like I learned how to do that, and I use it every day of my life. And I can get triggered once in a while now, not like I used to. I used to live in extreme anger all the time. I couldn't even get in my car and drive without being angry all the time. I'm so not like that now. Like I love being in my car. I'm like so chilled and so relaxed, and I sit in traffic all the time and I just could care less. And it's not like that. So I used to always be a really angry person. And so it really changed my life. And so I teach it now. So you can find out more. I have a 30-minute free webinar that I have on my website under wokelightworker.com. And again, my first class for 3 hours on September 12th, I'm offering it for free. So you guys can just get a taste of what is this theta healing stuff after you watch the video. You can register for it. So you just need to email me and let me know, Tracy at Woke Lightworker. Go to my website, wokelightworker.com, and just hit the contact me page and tell me, hey, I'm interested in signing up for the first night for free. I want to check out theta healing and see what it's like. And you can absolutely do that. But it's so, so incredible. I promise you, like, it will change your life. Like, you will never be the same. It's amazing. So I'm so glad. Driving anxiety. Yeah, you'd have to find out why you have your driving anxiety. Is it a fear from another life? Is it ancestral fear? Like, you got to find out where that came from. And actually, you can find that out in theta healing too. You can absolutely dig into that in theta healing and find out where that's coming from, and you can heal it. So almost everything that we can do in a higher self hypnosis session, you can do in theta healing. So that's why it's so incredible. It's not as quick because your higher self isn't spewing out the answers for you, just boom, 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 like in a session with me. So that's a really quick, easy way to get lots of healing and answers. But in theta healing, you learn how to do it for yourself, and you learn how to do it over the long haul. Like, you should still be using theta healing 20, 30, 40 years from now. Like, it's something you'll use for the rest of your life to eliminate every trigger in your life, like 100%. Like, it's so amazing. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. Go to my website, wokelightworker.com. There's a free meditation out there, how to connect to your higher self. So you can sign up for that. You can look at the webinar for my theta healing classes coming up. Again, the first one on September 12th is free. Just send me a message on my website telling me, hey, I'm interested in attending the first night for free. I have 19 spots left. So let me know if you're interested in that. And then if you want to schedule a free 15-minute phone consultation with me to talk about higher self-hypnosis, you can also do that on my website at wokelightworker.com. And I have some free classes on my website too. You can check out, okay? Thank you all so much for being here. I love just being able to share these things with you and teach you guys. Lippo Pintor, thank you for your videos and lessons. I've learned so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.